Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with the FIA Nations race at Circuit de la Sarthe in the Group 1 machinery. So this race was another round where we had to keep going. The first race I think we got quite a solid result and we nearly had potential for 300 plus points, but it's a little mistake at the end I think it was, and we ended up in P6. So I decided to go again and go again and go again until the final race of the day, where the qualifying again didn't quite hook it up when it mattered in this qualifying session, unfortunately. So you can see a lot of fast drivers still racing again in this lobby. It was quite a difficult round to get a good result out because of the varying strategies, different people, different cars, some hybrids, some non-hybrid, some Group C cars. So a lot of variety, different cars, and there was a lot of issues in this race with penalties because of the penalty system and also because of the track limits. So a very hard combination to get a good result at. However, we're starting down in P13, I think it is, which is going to make the battle to get ourselves up into some solid points even harder. You can see my car there behind P12 here, behind Mammal there. Decided to take the Audi for this round. I prefer the Audi. It's my favourite Group 1 car, I think it is, out of all of them. It's not got the best hybrid system. And then next to us there, our friend Fatal Vasquez starting in P14. So this was going to be eventful straight away. It's trying to get a solid start. Traction control 1. A little bit of too much spin off the start. You can see I didn't get the best start, but we are starting on the medium tyres because I decided we're going to go for a no-sub strategy. A little bit of contact with Fatal there where nearly got squeezed into another car. Then going into the braking zone, you can see Fatal contact with TRL Adam there, and a little bit of a penalty, a 4-second penalty for Fatal. Now this is because the braking zone issue that was affecting a lot of people. When you have contact with another car in the braking zone, which he did with TRL Adam, it gives you that 4-second penalty. So pretty much an unjust penalty there. Should not have really been. Very unlucky for Fatal in that situation. A little bit of lag there between myself and TRL Adam. Nearly came into contact, but got away with that as Adam was a little bit wide. I think he might get away with the penalty there. He brought the car back onto the track in reasonable time. So yeah, he gets away with that penalty. But just look at this Group C car on acceleration. I kind of regret not going that Group C car because I do like the Group C cars. He is absolutely flying down the streets, and just look at us here, losing positions left, right and centre. Not much we can do with the Audi, not particularly strong down the straight lines. And then into the braking zone, I completely missed my braking. Just about avoided the cars in front, made sure I avoided them by running wide. And then onto the power, and P11 there, you see, gets on the power too quick in that Peugeot. One issue with that car is obviously it can happen that on the curb spins. So luckily for myself, we didn't get a penalty in that situation. I managed to avoid all the other cars, which is one thing I always try to do in that situation, is make sure I don't hit anyone. So we stayed to the left, used the tarmac as much as possible, just about managed to keep the car out the gravel, and recovered it slightly, but slightly frustrated in myself as TWR again runs wide through there, maybe had dirty tyres in the braking zone like I did, and loses a position again. But yeah, frustrated slightly because we've just lost about 3 or 4 seconds in that little instance. So a big chunk of time that we've lost, especially when we're on the no-stop strategy, running these medium tyres. So we're back down to P12, so not really the best start on this opening lap at Circuit de la Sarthe, as TX3 driver in front actually hits the barrier there on the right hand side. I think he actually hit one of the bollards, losing a bit of speed. And then you can see the difference here, much more hybrid power, with the hybrid much more acceleration. However, that Peugeot is just going to go clean back around the outside there with that extra top speed and tucks in front of us, and we're going to tuck back into the slipstream of the Peugeot in front. So opening lap so far, P12 gained 1 position, which was a shame because I think we would have been way further up there, just behind TRL Adam, obviously with the hybrid coming back, and we would have been in P. Let's have a little look. Where is TRL Adam here? We would have been reasonably close to him. I think he would have been a couple of cars ahead, but we'd have been up maybe P6 or 7, which is a big difference. We've got a lot of cars now to battle with to get a solid result in this race. Fortunately, we did put the medium tyres on. Like I said, we were going for that no-stop strategy. Now, I don't think the no-stop strategy was the fastest way of doing this race, because in the first race, I accidentally started on the softs, and we did a pretty good finishing time. A little mistake at the end lost us a chance of a very good result, but it was a good finishing time. And I decided with this race, with the poor qualifying, probably not worth wasting the soft tyres, because we're going to be amongst the cars battling, and decided we would just go with the medium tyres. Now, I could have possibly have pitted on the mediums at maybe lap 3 or something and gone onto the softs. That might have been an option, but I decided at this stage to just I was pretty much set in the ways of the no-stop strategy. We've managed to gain a few positions there when a few cars have took a penalty, obviously for track limit violations, I believe they were. So we have gained a couple of positions here now, up into P10 in this race. So three positions gained from our starting position. A potential maybe to get a few other positions before the end of this race. Let's see what we can do and battle our way and try and make some overtakes if possible, or just sit in the slipstreams of the other cars in front of us, because it's going to be very hard to overtake that Peugeot with the straight line speed. So basically just sitting in his slipstream as we both run, all three cars running very wide. You can see I'm going to pick up a penalty here as well, I believe. There it is. Three cars all with penalties up the road. We all ran wide for that corner. We all got a little bit of understeer, I think, from the slipstream, and then obviously picked up penalties. So we're going to skip further ahead. Nothing really happening on the straight because of the way the slipstream's working with the faster cars, etc. And now we're coming up to the penalty zone. Now, two of the penalty zones for this round were completely dead. I didn't know it in one of the rounds I was racing, which was unfortunate because of qualifying. I picked up a penalty. Also, it affected, I think, in the race, I went to take a penalty on that second zone, I think it was. No, it was the first zone we went to take a penalty and it didn't do nothing. So I actually downshifted for no reason. So for some reason, they only activated this final penalty zone, which was nice of them to let us know about that. But for people in the first race of the day, it was a bit confusing as we go through now, where a lot of cars obviously in front. You can see two cars taking the penalty. I'm taking mine. Not massive amount of lost time on that penalty zone. You only really lose, you probably lose less than what you actually get in terms of a penalty, because when it's half a second, you don't really lose anything. It just doesn't have much of an effect on your car. Or 1 second probably does lose you around 1 second, I think, at least, because it slows the car down a lot more. But still in P10, and no harm really done with that half-second penalty. You can see we've got a lot of cars ahead of us in this battle. We've got, I think, P5 not far up the road there. And the benefit of what we're doing here now as well is we don't know what strategy other people are on. We could have cars in front that are on soft tyres. So at the moment, everything is looking reasonable to get ourselves a solid result, at least out of this race. It's not going to be anything amazing, obviously, because we started all the way down in P13 and we're right behind the Peugeot through there. Audi very strong through that section, obviously with the hybrid, but then as soon as we get to the straight, you can see not really able to do much as we skip ahead again to the end of the straight. And we're about to hit that hybrid zone where the heavy braking is, and this is where incidents can happen. I think Williams Adam here on the right hand side misses his braking. He's going to have to stay tight to the apex and side swipes another car. That's two cars with contact. They're going to lose acceleration. Benefit for me, I've got the hybrid, and we jump through from P10 up to P7. So a nice little corner for myself there. A bit of gains through other people making mistakes, and the hybrid helped me out. However, this Peugeot, is he going to go back through? You can see the extra speed that Peugeot. We're going to go 3 wide through this straight. Peugeot goes around the outside. I took into the slipstream of the TX3 driver, still in P7 obviously. And now we're into the hybrid zone. Will we be able to get back past TX3, who has just gone drifting through that corner? We had a little look up the inside, decided to back out of that. There's no point going side by side, hitting each other through there. It would have been too risky. Decided to just tuck in the slipstream, use a bit of hybrid, and we had ran out of hybrid there because we couldn't get the full braking effect into that corner. So that's going to affect our hybrid situation for a while now. As we see, the car behind had much more hybrid. Unfortunately, didn't have the slipstream, and he's not going to be able to go for a move there. And now into this very fast flowing final sector. This is a sector where the Audi was quite nice through here, I have to say. The Audi is one of the nicer cars. I like to drive it. This is why I picked it for this round. It might not have been the best car to pick. I think it was between the Audi, the Peugeot and the Group C cars. It was so close which one was the best, but the Audi for me is a car I like to drive. I enjoy driving it a lot more than the others, as we have a car in front there pitting for a change of tyres. Mammal obviously started on the soft tyre, so he has to go to the medium, along with, I think it was Aura as well, another driver that's doing the same strategy. So we've now been bumped up to P5, so actually from P13 we're now in a pretty solid position in this race in P5. And obviously now coming up to around halfway through the race. Now another thing is we've got, I think, a couple of cars in front of us that will have to pit still. I think possibly they're going to need to pit for the softer tyre, depending on which way they've done this strategy. It depends if they started on the soft or if they started on the medium. But yeah, the Group C cars were very unlikely to go for the no-stop strategy on the medium tyre because of the tyre wear with that car. So they're very likely to go for another pit stop as we're getting bump drafted down the straight. A bit risky with the penalty system that was run when we did this race. Obviously, it wasn't the current penalty system, which is non-existent. This was when things were a little bit too extreme with the penalty system. There is reasons why I think that it has now been toned down. Might address that in a separate video, but I believe there is reasons why the current penalty system is pretty much non-existent, and it's probably something to do with the fact that they need to work on a new system completely and wouldn't have had time to code in a new system. It's not a simple thing to do, so I think we have to bear with them with that one again, as usual. I think, you know, we have been waiting a long time for a penalty system that actually works. We have been at stages where it works, and then they just change it for no reason. So one day they'll just leave it at a point where it's reasonable, and I think most people will be happy with that. But at the moment in this race, in P5, having a solid race, to be fair, considering the issues that we've had, penalties, the issue with running wide into the braking zone, nearly wiping out other cars and losing a lot of time in that incident as well. Without them incidents, we'd be so much further up the track. I think we'd be about 3 or 4 seconds further up the track, probably very close to TR Adam, who is just there in P3. You can see him just going around that corner. I think we would have been at least around that area, or possibly in front, but constantly overtaking, then slipstreaming, then overtaking, with the hybrid differences. So it's a shame what happened, but we're in P5 in this race at the moment. We're going to probably get attacked from other cars that have pitted. We've got them behind us on the fresher tyres now, and they're going to be coming through. So it's all going to be about holding on to a position in this race. If we can pick up anything in the top 7 from P13, it will be a reasonable result as we go a little bit wide into that corner, and the car behind loses the rear slightly on acceleration, but luckily for us, we keep the line reasonably okay through there. And now we've got to let that hybrid loose out of that slow corner and tuck into the slipstream of P4. As again, you can see the hybrid of that R18 behind managing to recover his hybrid slightly better than me on that one corner, but unfortunately for him, I've got the slipstream of P4 and he's not going to be able to go around the outside of that corner. It just will never work as we now go through this, again, fast flowing sector, trying to stay with P4. We've got the dirty air, but we're managing to stay reasonably close to that Peugeot through here, down into 4th gear, and then chucking it into this left hand corner. Really important corner to get the car flowing through there. You've got to really bite it into the apex and be aggressive with the style of to the way you take that corner, otherwise you just understeer wide. As now P1 has pitted as I take a little bit too much off that curb and get a 1 second penalty. Let's have a little look at that line. It was a little bit aggressive, but it looked pretty much marginal. There was no real gains from the line that we did, but unfortunately we pick up a 1 second penalty. Let's take a look at that. That is the difference between a 1 second penalty and not. It was very marginal, but the tyres were close to the white line, but with the current, it was over the white line very slightly. But this is the kind of situation where I think you shouldn't be getting punished straight away for a 1 second penalty. It's where I think the system of having this free strike system on minor track infringements like that, because in real life you wouldn't be getting a 1 second penalty for that, you'd just be getting a warning, and that's what we need in this game. Some sort of warning system to give us 2 warnings before we pick up maybe a 2 second or a 3 second penalty, just so that you can get, you know, people make mistakes. That was nothing deliberate, it was just a general mistake, didn't really gain anything, and we've got a 1 second penalty. Now that is going to hurt us a bit more than a half second, like I said before. The 1 second penalty will make you lose that little bit of extra speed, so we're probably going to lose the position to P4 behind us there and get dropped down a bit. We're in the podium position at the moment with 3 laps to go, but like I say, however, we've got cars that have pitted, and they're going to come back through. As you see, I think one has already gone well, and Bellin there has already gone through. I think SVDR possibly on the no-stop strategy, as Bellin obviously chasing him down now with them fresher tyres. He got past us on the straight with no effort at all. The Group C cars so much faster on a straight line, it literally doesn't require anything, it just breezes past on the straight lines. We now approach the end of the lap there, taking that 1 second penalty, losing out to P4. You can see we lose out significantly more than you do with the half second. Half second we might have got away with that, but with the 1 second we lose that position, and we're now down to P5, and we have TR Adam coming through with just 2 laps to go, 3.5 seconds behind us there. You can see he's going to gain that time. He's obviously on the softer compound tyre now all the way to the end, and he's also got that extra speed down the straight, so he's going to be gaining on us through the corners as well as the the straights, because obviously fresh soft compound tyres versus worn mediums, no matter what car you're in, it's going to have the advantage through the corners. But we're going to try and see what we can do. Let's see how long it'll be before he's right behind us, running a little bit wide for there. Will that be a penalty? You can see my covering my eyes there, because I wasn't sure. I was convinced that would be a penalty, but fortunately no penalty as we come to the end of the straight section. And just look at this. This is how easy it is for the Group C cars. No defense possible against that. He's clean through. We're going to tuck into the slipstream and just try and use some of that draft to see if he can get us a little bit closer to the battle up front, as unfortunately we lost a bit of time on the chicanes on the straight. I think went in a little bit too deep in a couple of corners, and again you can see the tyre wear is kicking in quite bad. Starting to struggle with slowing the car down as well as getting on the power, but we're stuck with this strategy now. We have to make this work. We're in P6 again. I would take a P6. We've got over 3.5 second lead though to P7. Now he did pit and he is on fresher tyres, so he is going to have an advantage. However, if I can manage to hold on to a P6 in this race, I would be pretty happy, if I'm honest. Starting from P13, it'll be a reasonable recovery and a solid drive with that no-stop strategy and trying to just keep the tyres alive. What I tried to do, I wasn't really worried about the rear tyres, so what I was mainly worrying about was the front tyres in terms of the fast section at the end of the lap. That's where you can lose a lot of time if you take out the tyre wear on the fronts. So through the corners, trying to make sure the fronts have got the grips. A little bit of suffering with the traction zones with the rear tyres as we go through here. You can see other people starting to suffer with tyres now as well. So we're right behind this group of battling cars. Adam, but again, look at this acceleration on the car that Adam is driving. I think that is a Mercedes Group C car, and that car accelerates insanely fast. That doesn't even need hybrid. He actually stayed with the hybrid in front of him and myself. He actually pulled away from myself there because the extra acceleration once it gets to higher speed. So that is a car to look out for, that Mercedes. Might not have as high top speed, I'm not sure, as some of the other cars, but absolutely insane acceleration for a Group C car. So just look at it out of these corners, unbelievably fast. So I think that car was definitely a solid choice for this race. Just unfortunately, I don't think he got the qualifying quite perfect, but he's making his way back through the field. You can see overtaking now. P4 is there, going right round the outside. They're not going to be able to defend against that. That Group C car is just going to breeze past them on the straight, and we're just going to sit back in this P6 position. You can see we skipped ahead now to the final sector of the race, and we're looking like we're just going to come home in a P6, which is going to be a solid drive. However, you can see that in front, P5 and P4 are battling, so anything can happen in these races. And usually something will happen on the last sectors of a race, because someone will either go for a move or make a bottle, absolutely bottle it on the final corner. But let's have a look now. As you saw there, P5 was tempted to go for a move. Will he go for a move on the final corner? And something might happen here as we go through the corner. P4 looks like he made a mistake there, and then there's a bit of contact with P4 and 5, and we've been promoted 2 places on the finishing line. So pretty much happy with that. Somehow managed to come away with a P4 from P13 on the grid. Let's have a little look at what actually happened. So P5 had a little look, but backed out of it there, and then into the final corner. I don't know if there's contact there. It doesn't look like there is. It just looks like the Peugeot has run a little bit wide, then got on the power, spun the car. Very easy to do on the curves with that Peugeot. Contact was made with P4. Unfortunately, he then got a 2-second penalty before he actually went over the line, and it knocks him back down the order. So I get a little bit of luck for a change and get myself up to P4, 294 points. It's not the best amount of points, but from P13, I think we can't complain at picking up that amount of points. So pretty happy in the end. Bit unlucky for the cars in front, but we'll take any bit of luck that we can get. Sometimes you deserve a bit of luck, and I'm glad that we finally got some. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. Click that notification button so you don't miss any future videos, and make sure you give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video.